Welcome to another episode of Art Chats, this time with the incredible Rupali Gatti. Rupali is a visual development artist, a concept designer, and currently she is a production designer on multiple Indian films and television shows. With a career spanning over 25 years, she's worked on some of the most notable films such as the Bahubali sequels, Lal Kaptan, Manto, Bombay Rose. Also, something that she recently worked on, which was very fascinating, was this short film directed by Vishal Bharadwaj called Fursat, which was completely shot on the iPhone. Rupali takes us through her journey beginning from illustrating greeting cards to her current position as a production designer. She is one of the first people who actually explained to me in amazing detail as to what the role of a production designer is. We also get a chance to see her round of mentorships under incredible, well-known figures such as Mr. Ram Mohan, who is considered the father of modern Indian animation. Also, Hans Bacher, who is very well known for his production designer work on films like Mulan, Hercules, and also very well known for his book called Visions, which is almost an art direction bible for folks who began their careers in the animation field. As you will get to see in this episode, Rupali is an incredibly humble individual, very simple in her approach, in her thought process. There's a lot of clarity in the way she speaks about her experiences, and also it's a very emotional journey that she takes us through, from learning basic skills by just observing her own parents to incredible teachers that she has had the opportunity to learn under. This is going to be an interesting conversation. It's a long one, so I want everyone to just spend some time really soaking it in. Watch it in bursts if you have to, so that you really get to learn the underlying lessons through her story. The interesting thing about her work is, in the current realm of design, where a lot of our work is really focused on the kind of tools that we use and the technology that we possess, Rupali consistently uses pen and paper and sketching to provide her services to her clients. And that is a pretty remarkable note on the fact that technology will keep on evolving, but our ability to design and tell stories through our images will forever be timeless. That is something where we have to really hone our skills, really develop our eye, our mindset, our thought process. Apologies for taking so long for this episode to be released, as I'm also someone who works in the field. So balancing editing videos and getting work done for clients can become a little tricky. But I thank you so much for your patience, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. A huge shout out to Vinnie, Godwin, Paul for providing his editing service on this episode and a couple of more other episodes which are about to be released over the coming few weeks. Without further ado, sit back, relax, enjoy this amazing episode with Rupali on Art Chats with your host, Ayan DC. Let's begin. Also, the amount of responsibilities that you have on a project,
No,
it's
it
just
is
like
just,
an
the
emotional,
energy.
right? Like mental exhaustion. It's as big as a
But
physical exhaustion as well. I
so
think.
I'm not taking up, but yes, getting up early is what I prefer now.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yes.
super excited to have you.
Thank you
Firstly,
so much. And
yeah, as I think over the last few days we were able to talk more on call and just discuss, and
correct.
that's when I had a chance to tell you how I got to know about you, which was back when I was working at Zynga, and then a mutual friend at this point,
Okay.
Sachin, who was my art director at that point.
Kamkar,
He,
no?
yes, Sachin
Uh,
Kamkar, incredible artist, one of the best, like sweetest human beings out there.
yeah.
And he introduced me to your work. And the reason why your work stuck with me was because at that point, I already came into the industry with the understanding that, okay, concept design requires 3D. It requires all of these fancy tools. to sell an image to a director or a team. But
Correct.
then he shows your work to me, which is a lot more traditional, at least a lot more focused on the drafting ability, like to sell your design.
Right.
And honestly, as an artist myself, I love that way more than the technical side of things. So immediately there was a love connection between me and the work that he was showing me from all the things that you did. Since then, I knew about you. Cut to this year when Vikram told me that a project that we both worked on recently will have you as well. And that's where I got to really deep dive into seeing how you work, how you think. And it's been what a fantastic experience just seeing you do what you do
So
best.
it's been quite a journey now. It's almost 25 years in
Congratulations, by the
animation,
way.
in animation and live action, and exploring the side of film design,
Right.
or you can say concept design. But yes, I will go back to my college days, where I am a BFA graduate
Right.
from Raheja School of Art, Bombay. And yes, after that, I was working for a year with an agency, a greeting card agency. And after that, after 1.5 years, I got introduced or had an opportunity to go to RMUSL, which is Ramon's animation studio, which was then later collaborated with USL, which is United Studios. So yes, and yeah, from 1997, I resumed Ramon's office, Ramon's studio, and rest is a history for 25 years now.
Right. I mean,
So
congratulations.
yeah, and after animation, yeah, I did a few years of in animation. Initially, I started with traditional cell animation, where when I started, it was almost on a it was digitized. I mean, we used to do cell animation and paint, of course, traditionally, but yes, the compositing and the post production was already into a digital transition at that time. So yeah, in I think in 2001 there was a transition again from traditional 2D cell animation to Flash animation, and then to 3D after Flash animation, and after 3D it was in moving into live action gaming, and I think the scope of work which I work in right now. So it started from 2D animation, cell animation, to Flash, to CG, 3D, which was Maya, and 3D Max and XSI and everything. And then later it with live action, and that time when even ad agencies were exploring animation in their as a content in their commercials or the medium. So yeah, so TV commercial, then live action, clay animation. So with claymation, stop motion animation, and of course gaming, and now VR rides. So there are rides, and of course the VR, and now the Unreal, and yeah, it's virtual production in future now. I can see that, but the one thing which stayed with me is the pencil. So I started as a background artist, which in few months I took over as I started working as a layout artist, then went into traditional reproduction design, which really fascinated me. So it's a transition from a background artist to a layout artist to a production designer to a live action production designer for VFX, and a journey till as a visualizer now. So I do film design mostly. So I am mostly responsible for the look and feel and the entire how the mostly as an environment designer. So I am kind of a bridge. My role now has become a bridge between the VFX studio, closely working with the VFX supervisor, along with the live action production designer, the DOP, and the director.
That's quite the variety of disciplines, the variety of hats that you have to take on. But also like what sticks with me because I think even yesterday or day before when we were discussing about this interview, you said something about the fact that the pencil adopted you. I really liked when you said that. So I wanted to know about the time during your art education, your schooling background. When was the time when you started seeing this adoption process happening for you? What resonated with you at that point, which brought you to this medium?
I take you back to my again to my school days where
Yeah.
I'm a very average, an average person where was not into very good into studies.
Right.
Studies were always
It's the
okay. I have to be
fearful.
not a fearful thing, but yeah, this is what is being needed. You need to do your schooling,
Right.
and my father was a teacher, and he retired as a vice principal to the school. And yeah, having a teacher at home, you know how disciplined the children
Right.
are. Discipline. I always had that discipline
Right.
in my house. I mean, he never forced that discipline on us, never.
Mhm.
But he himself was so disciplined that he was always inspiring for me.
Right. Right.
And we always had him around, he's being punctual. The way he was in the house, or he was in the school, or people used to respect him as a head, I mean as a principal.
Right.
And the way he was, his aura around it, he never forced us, but it was more of inspiring person around when since we grew up. So yeah, but yes, drawing is what came to me in late of my school, and I had a neighbor in next to me who was also an Raheja graduate,
Right.
and he used to work for Lintas that time. He was
Sorry,
pretty
for
Lintas, the ad
Linton.
agency.
Okay. Okay. All right. Right.
Lintas ad agency, and he was a Raheja graduate, and he used to work for ad agencies, which was used to work. Looking at his work, his workspace, and I was really fascinated. That time I was in school, and he was already passed out and was doing really good with ad agencies, and I was struggling with the still life and memory drawing and getting my intermediate college stuff. So he used to just being next door. He really came as an inspiration that time. Yes, I mean, looking at his work was really inspiring, and I said, no, I really want to try my hands on drawing.
Right.
However, I I knew that my selection was done in fine arts of JA School of Art, but I chose to be in Raheja School of Art. Everybody told me, Rupali, you are getting a university seat. Why are you leaving it? You will end up having a diploma.
Right.
And
Right.
looking forward to, even the professors, the teachers from my father's school, they told me that. It's a good choice to take a university seat and rather than choosing a diploma. I said it's rather take a choice what I want to do and not get stuck with a choice which I don't want to do, however, even if it's a degree.
Right. Right.
So I would be more I would do I would rather choose to be into a diploma or of commercial applied art, and not to be a GD art. Finally, it ends up into work.
Right.
Finally, it's a portfolio. You are a GD art or a BFA, or it will be work which will come out at the end. So what if at that time I was not too serious about getting a diploma or something, but later when I after a few years in the industry, where I really feel, but then what I felt, if I would have taken fine arts, um, would have been more easy for me to explore drawing, or the struggles would have been little more easier on me. If I have chosen painting, I would have literally learned it. Even however it would have been in hard way. But yes, I would have done fine arts, and the struggle for learning anatomy and figure drawings, and would have been a little simpler after that, I guess.
Right.
But yes, I went up. I chose applied art. I went to Raheja, and after 1996, when I had a degree in my hand, I was quite sure, yes, now I am with. ad agencies now, and that's it. And it'll be freelancing. And before my results could come out, there was a small, not small, I can say there was one greeting card agency close to my house. And I said before my results come, let me try my hands on, all these. And it was very exciting for me because a few of my seniors were working there, and I took typography as my elective in my last 2 years. Typography and calligraphy. So that gave me an opportunity to work for greeting cards, as do calligraphy on greeting cards, to write the content and stuff. So that whole space was very interesting for me. They were copywriters.
Right.
So it is as good as working in an ad agency, you have a team of copywriters and you have poetry, because greeting card is a very emotional content.
It's funny you speak of greeting cards, which is like, now it's like such a novel thing in today's day, where you can like the whole aspect of going to a store and buying cards
buying a
give to
greeting
someone.
card. And
It was such a beautiful thing at that point,
so choosing, where it was a range of work.
Yeah, you have categories of, okay, Father's Day cards and then birthday
a
cards,
father.
I
So
miss
there
you
were
cards.
or love cards, and
Yeah.
dad for mom, for dad, for brother and sister, and there was for festive times and for all festivals, like there was Eid and Diwali and Valentine and Christmas and New Year's, and there was like every day you have an occasion to weddings and to your best friends, and Women's Day, and there's all these days what you celebrate, and you send stickers for now, the greeting cards, and it were all handwritten. And it was no computers that time, so without edited, there was no Photoshop. So whatever you do is a final artwork. And yeah, that was it. And so calligraphy, it was all without undo work. So yeah, and what the work, it was like the greeting card and the content in between. And we used to give it that to printer with markings and everything, with tracing, and there was very disciplined way of sending that artwork to a printer, where nothing can be, it should be really protected, because it was watercolors and acrylics, and there were almost a bunch of more than 20 artists, and with different expertise, and we were 5 people doing calligraphy for them. So they used to, initially I started as a calligrapher there, writing content, and there was a department where there were copywriters who used to write. So it's a very beautiful space. I was in a beautiful space because there was so much poetry which was read in Urdu, in English, in Marathi, and they're very in many languages. And I'm sure these guys have really the wisdom what comes to them is through reading. So there are friends who extensively read, and the huge inspiration for me this is my mom. I've never seen her without reading. I mean, this really explored me to meet these people of copywriters, a bunch of copywriters who were really, because they were reading and they used to write such beautiful content and poetry for greeting cards, and a bunch of people and artists around me who were really good with portraits, and who can design characters, who were some of my friends came from a textile background, who were really good with watercolors and doing flowers. So everybody has their own specialty to give their part to. So, and every day you have so much to see around, new created. So what we used to have is every artist at the end of the day will come up with a new style of mixed media, or a style for a series. So we had a series of 5, 5 greeting cards in one style, or 6 greeting cards in one style. So at the end of the day, everybody will create a style for the next series and pin up on the signboard, on the softboard next to you. So the boss used to next day come and have a round and see the experiment and choose and ask everybody, and we used to brainstorm, this we can do, that we can add a content here, we can do this. But that was also, yes, that 1 year of working with greeting cards and this animation. And yes, of course, going back to animation, yes, when I was in second year of my college, Ram Mohan had a course of 3 months of animation by Ajit Rao. And
also, I would like to also point out Ram Mohan, he's like, for Indians, like he's the godfather, he's the father of modern animation scene, and he's the one who actually brought that influence of how we perceived animation at that point. He was one of the first people who brought that to India.
Yes, I would love to take this opportunity to tell about Ram Mohan, because Ram Mohan is known as father of animation.
Right.
And he is, if you see Ramayana,
Yes.
the traditional cell animation Ramayana,
Right.
the Japanese Ramayana, what we
Right.
say, he has done the character designs for it. He has directed it. He has done storyboards for it. I mean, he was an intricate part of creating Ramayana.
Right.
And after 25 years, I mean, when I met him last, he had just before he passed away,
Right.
a year before that, I met him, and we discussed that, it took 25 years
Right.
for a release.
Right. Ramayana was one of those projects. I believe it was the first animation project which I got really hooked to. This was even like before I started even noticing like films like Lion King and all of that. Ramayana was the one thing that really stuck with me. And then I started hearing it's done by Indian artists.
Yes.
Like that involvement was there. So
yeah. So Ram Mohan sir was, I mean, he is, what do you say, he is a pioneer of Indian animation here. Yes, of course, he was a part of Films Division India, and later he started his own studio called Ramon Biographics. And after when he was a visionary. I mean, literally, he was the person who saw potential in the industry, and potential in, or I can say a belief or trust in Indian artists, where where he could just give that art to them, and it could be a successful industry.
Right.
And this was very, very late, when he was in 60s, he started, and he started RMUSL. He collaborated with the United Studios, which I started from in 1997, and he gave a global platform there, where we started having international projects for production. Till then, it was very limited to Indian content, Indian television, or Indian short films, or stuff. But yes, and before that also, it was UNICEF, of course. I mean, Ramon Biographics was working for UNICEF, and but it was very personalized project, and between that. But when it collaborated with United Studios Limited, it suddenly got a platform. Of course, they were doing international work before UTV also. But yeah, having UTV on board, it gave a global platform more.
Right. What did the sorry to cut you off. What did the Western influence that Ram Mohan sir was also trying to bring in? How did that impact the animation, at least the mindset of artists kind of delving into animation from our country at that point? Like, how did that have an impact in terms of,
Western, because he was very rooted. He adapted, what do you say? He was a very rooted Indian artist. He was, because it's like, a classical Indian cinema. It's very rooted to Indian philosophies, cultures, and around people of India, stories around, it's very Indian, is what I'm trying to tell you. He was, of course, he has traveled the world, and he was jury for so many festivals, and invited for he has seen a lot of world cinema. I mean, world cinema of in terms of animation. He has, I think, being a father of animation, known as a father of animation, he was as a very respected, what do you say, at a position where he was a guide, an encyclopedia, an institute for every one of us. For Ramon sir was, you know, he was actually a father for all of us. He has literally took everybody of us under his wings and brought this up as an industry that time. So we were those fresh crop that time when we got introduced to this animation. And Ramon sir, I was very, what do you say, I was like a kid when I started with Ramon biographics. I mean, sorry, RMUSL. And everybody around me was obviously senior, and I had a terrible complex that time. But Ramon sir used to every day come in, and, you know, we had cubicles, a small, you know, cubicles that time, and senior animators were there. And I was one intern joined. But I was literally like a blank canvas, you can say, after my college, getting into animation. I literally didn't know anything. But the day I went for the interview and gave my test in RMUSL, they showed me some clips that, you know, this is the kind of work we need to do. And the studio does animation like this, and we are looking for artists to do backgrounds. And this is filmmaking. And I was amazed. I mean, I was blown up, blown out with the medium I saw. I'd never seen making of animation. You know, we have been always, as children, we have watched the Tom and Jerry and Spider-Man and all Disney characters coming in, all Marvel characters on the Doordarshan and Indian television channels, but never seen making of it. So it was the process was really fascinating. However, my limitations towards working towards it were very, what do you say, very basic. But they assured us that, you know, whoever has been selected will be trained accordingly. And so yeah, I was in Lamon, and sir used to come every morning and used to jam with those senior people. And because they, of course, they have come a long way with him since by Ramon, his old studio. And he had, like, you know, dozens of travel stories with him, and like hundreds of drawings on his travel drawings on and everything. Used to just give his diary or his drawing book to us and see, look at that character. I mean, you know, this woman who I drew was like this, and everybody, I mean, all those characters, we could see those in his stories later, you know. And so in his sketches, and which was this behavior, that character. So we could see that reflection in his stories and character designs and everything. So he was one inspiration for, I mean, every single person. The minute he used to be in the studio, it was the first 1 hour used to be like, you know, wherever he used to stand in a cubicle to hello, up, kaise ho, and, you know, how is it going. And after some time, it was like, you know, the whole studio is around it. Everybody was to just want to know, you know, don't
just
want
soak in all the experience
whatever
that
he
he's
says,
had.
you know, it was like an energy booster. Those morning used to come in. And
you know, some people, like some folks, as even we discussed, some people just radiate a certain energy, you know, like you won't even have to know that they are artists, but you just see them being themselves, and suddenly something, you know, sticks to you, and it makes you feel like doing a part of what that person also does.
Yes.
So I feel like the way you speak about Ramon sir, it feels that exactly that was the energy that you guys were kind of sharing with each other when he was around.
So it was sorry, but I start sometimes not consciously, but it's just coming to me like a single name called Ramon, because it was so close, you know, when you are so close, you are, it's like your dad calling you.
Right.
It was so close as as an inspiration. So yes, of course, but calling him by single name is only means affection towards him.
Of course.
So yeah, I mean, having him to begin the day was really inspiring for us. And yes, of course, later we had trainings. Um, and when that time it was, there were no separate departments for layout and backgrounds, you know. It was, everybody used to do everything. I mean, not animation, but of course, the background and the layout department was different. The animation was different. The cleanup was different. The in-between was different. But yes, in layout and background department, everybody used to do everything, right? The background artist, the person used to draw, used to paint the same thing later, or it was not divided as per, you know, specifics. But that doesn't happen in production. We were unknown. So, and there was a big amount of work which was coming, and it was an hardcore production work for 2D animation. And of course, we had to go through a training. And there were two Filipino trainers, because in Philippines, 2D cell animation was really, you know, a progressive thing. You can say they have we were already few years behind when we saw the work, and they were already doing a production work on a, what do you say, at a very professional level, where they hired, I mean, we had two amazing trainers for us for 2 months, and one for layout and one for background. And he he came that day, and he saw the department. We were around 8 of them, and he saw us, and he said, okay, where is the layout and where is the background department? I said, there are no departments. We all do everything. We just get storyboard from Ramon, and we just get that storyboard from Ramon sir. And there was a second authority, of course, the director Sanjeev Vaikar. If you know, he's a very known name in the animation industry, and very respected director, a huge a comic artist. I mean, very renowned comic artist, where his father, Ram Vaikar, was a very known comic artist for Amar Chitrakatha.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he designed whatever Amar Chitrakatha we see right now has been designed by Ram Vaikar. And his son, Sanjeev Vaikar, is also a Raheja graduate. Raheja School of Art. He is also an art graduate, and was a director in RMUSL. I mean, so Ramon sir used to storyboard, and Sanjeev Vaikar used to finish it and structure it in a proper way so that can be, you know, helpful for production later, and pass it on to us. And then we later divided into, you know, backgrounds and layout, and the layout and the animation layer for it, and then give it to animators to animate and stuff like that. So anyways, the traditional cell animation process. But that was a process for us. But when these trainers came up to us, and they told us, no, you can't function this way. You know, production can't happen like this. You need to have a structure. You need to have separate departments, you know. And that is how we were introduced to, what do you say, a pipeline, for if you say rightly, to a pipeline of cell animation production. So we were 8 of us, and he asked us to choose whether, you know, first there was a test given to us, like to understand where we are and where he needs to literally train us from, and where are we to for him to give an idea, like, you know, who needs more of training, and who's really to understand the skills of average out or whatever. So yes, we had a small test hearing. He gave us a small test, and from there we were chosen, like, you know, and given a choice of who wants to do what. Okay, yes, I was doing backgrounds earlier for 6 months, but after that, after this training, he said, okay, if you whatever choices, if you want to be a layout designer or a background painter. So of course, I chose design was really fascinating for me, like, you know, designing the space. And that was that space of exploring, stylizing it, or visualizing it into different angles, and execute it in through a camera lens.
Right, right.
So designing, it is not only to draw but to visualize in many aspects, you know, to style. One is through see-through camera.
Right.
So, you know, to what happens when you have a particular lens to give, I mean, a drawing attached with a definite, I mean, a limitation of lens to it. Correct. Or given a definite view to it. So it was, of course, with storyboard, but yes, that space of designing a space was really fascinated to. And of course, that time we were introduced to I think, yeah, the pre-production will be provided to you, and you need to design the layouts. I mean, the style would be pre-designed.
Right. So you would get a Bible essentially.
Yeah, a workbook.
A
Yes,
workbook.
we were supposed to get a workbook, right, where the style is pre-designed, the background style is pre-designed, and you need to, and a storyboard is given to you, and you have to divide as per, you know, the master layouts, and right, and the layouts, and how you can reuse whatever. There is a process. So
what you were doing at that point was essentially production and not pre-production.
Pre-production.
Pre-production is being given to you, and then the work will be talking about, okay, these would be like, if you have as like props in this environment based on a certain specific design language, this would be the proportion. You can't break away from this, because suddenly it will fall apart in terms of the coherence.
Yeah, so it is like, you know, how you do pre-production and production. So as I told you, there was a production content which came down to us to produce, and not so the pre-production came to us, and these trainers told us, no, the pre-production will be given to you. Right. And you have to do the production part, where you have to blow the storyboard panels up and do the layouts for it. And still, you know, to do it in to do the layout, the same space in different angles. You know, you have designed, you get a workbook with an explored style to it, or space to it, but you have to draw the same space in a different angle, you know, sometimes in a top view, or a low angle, or a close-up of that, and having, as I said, to a lens to it. Right. So yes, you have a space. It is stylized, but if you see the same space in 50 mm or 80 mm or 200 mm, or, you know, an 80 mm, so
there are different levels of distortion involved in the perspective of the scene when you have different lenses involved. Yeah. So all this came to me as an, of course, we were doing before this. Of course, we were doing it, as I told you, we were doing layouts as well as backgrounds. But I was in background department, so whatever layout used to come to me, I used to paint it. Right. And there was, you know, the seniors who used to decide style. So it was there. It was all around. I mean, we were doing the same thing, but it was not, what do you say, in a pipeline. Right. But everyone was doing everything. Correct. Like, there was not much of a structure, a hierarchy of like, okay, separating out departments. Yeah. So it also came as a blessing in disguise, where, you know, you are exploring everything. You are not limited to only layout, or you're not limited to only background, or you're not limited to only props, or, you know. So we were getting opportunity to try out everything. Right. And but there was one senior, I would like to mention his name here, Sudhir Mirge. He was he is also now a very known and respected name in the industry. He was it was that time when I just resumed, and he had left the studio a few days back, probably a week. But his work was all on the display, what he was still working on, and, you know, and that time he had made what do you say, a color script.
of a show which was going on.
Right, right.
And he had made a small color script on a tinted black paper where he could do a color script, and it was there. And the process what he worked for, it was, we never had books, or there were, as I told you, we never were trained to do any production thing. But when we used to get storyboards from Ramon sir or Sanjeev, he was a person, I can say, a pioneer to give a structure to it.
Right.
Where we will do a color scripting, where with the color palette of the first shot and the second shot, and the travel, where there's a transition of palette or sequences where you break the scene down or the sequence down. There's a change in palette or timing or anything. Timing meaning the day of time.
Right.
So I could see, to simplify the process, he started doing certain things on his own. And when later when we saw books of Disney or DreamWorks or art of making or something, then this is what is being done.
What they were referring to, correct, right?
And not referring to, but this
is what you were practicing.
And this is a process, yes, right. And it is a part of a process which actually a filmmaking is done. Right, and right. It was such an what do you say, a language which they were already doing it, or we were doing it, practicing it. It's just we were to make process simple, or the pipeline simpler. We were doing certain things, and later we came to know that this is a process, of course,
right,
which is a practice usually done. And and Sudhir was there. And anyway, so this was coming back to pre-production and production, where I chose to be into being in layout department. And of course, and then we had a very tough 2.5 months layout training under Boatman. There was a Filipino trainer called Boatman, and we did, yes. After that, that is how pencil adopted me, and rather than me adopting it, that is where my journey of pencil started. And yeah, since then it's been quite some years. I am with it, and I still do my initial work with pencil and drawing. Pencil and paper, and then take it ahead in Photoshop and edit it. But yes, my first exploration of ideas is on pencil, and yeah, that is how, instead of that me adopting something, that medium adopted me. So I say.
I think what's beautiful about that is that now the pencil is not a separate thing. It's kind of an extension to your first thinking process when you're assigned a project. Like you to get your first ideas on board, that tool is essentially an extension of your thinking process as to how you even start, because even the lines that you make, the marks that you make, that set a certain aesthetic for yourself as well, the tonality. And this is where I would like to also kind of step back a little and talk about your experience with calligraphy, because you've been trained under someone incredibly proficient, like one of the master calligraphers, Achyut Pralab. So I wanted to know your experience when you kind of delved into calligraphy a bit more.
I am really blessed, I can say, or I'm really blessed to have these mentors around me. The first impression what I had about Achyut Pralab sir was in my first year of my college, when I just started art college. And in 1991, I was introduced to calligraphy. Pralab sir had come down to our college for a demo. And he had done a diary called Vitthal that time.
Okay.
And, I mean 1992, sorry. And he had done a diary called Vitthal, which won CAG award, and which is very internationally recognized. And this is before Google and internet. So it was magazines, and what your art travels through. And it was not. And at that time, he was a very, very known calligrapher representing India on a global platform, and won a lot of awards. His work was recognized in a lot of exhibitions and galleries, and his work was traveling a lot. And and he has worked with I mean, you just name a person from any celebrity person from India, like from music to art or performing art, or any literature or politician, or he has worked with that.
Yeah, he was one of the front runners for that medium at that point.
Yeah, it was, and taking a script like Devanagari to a global level.
Right.
Introduce that script on a global platform. And yes, and I was introduced to his work in the first year of my college itself, and it was extremely influential. I was and driven to calligraphy, but having access to him was impossible. It was really impossible at first year of college. And used to every year, every my festivals, or frequently college used to arrange for his demonstrations. We used to, in college, there were a lot of artists at that time, painters. We used to get college used to arrange demonstrations of those artists. So yes, for first 2 years of my college, I saw his work, and was closely trying to understand what the medium is, and the language, the script, the proportions. I mean, I was getting introduced to typography and calligraphy along with the other subjects. And yes, in the third and the fourth year, I took typography as my elective, and calligraphy was a part of, that time. It was not it became my love for calligraphy. I was fallen in love with calligraphy and inks, and the energy that medium needs, and the what do you say, the the focus that needs. And I was there was something really fascinating about it. And they were accidental results. Even if how much you plan on a paper, it is not what you end up having in what you have thought. The stroke becomes smaller, a big one, or the composition what you have thought in your head is not you land up on the paper. But eventually I have learned this from him, of course, where you say purposeful accidents.
Right. You indulge into
but the accidents are very purposeful, and you need to do that.
Right.
They are, however, it is an accident, but you have to be it should be purposeful.
Right.
So it should be planned. I mean, planned accidents, I said, on the paper. So that gives you an idea how much he has mastered that art, So it was always, what do you say, a thrive for me to learn from him since my college, उनसे सीखना है, मतलब उनके under his wings, I want to learn. But to reach out to him was impossible for me that time. My caliber of to work with him or under him or to learn from him, I thought literally it needs a caliber to reach out to him as well. But after my college, and third or fourth year of my college, after my college, actually, when I was doing, as I said, I was working with greeting card agency, I was practicing calligraphy. So it was more than assignments for me. College is very limited. You have to perform, you have to do assignment, you have their submissions. But immediately after college, there is a freedom, there is a space, and where I'm not able to. Maybe I'm trying to put it into words, but see if I can put it rightly. But there is a space, you're suddenly in the freedom. There is no academic pressure on you.
Correct.
But there is a pressure of what do you say, self-performance.
Right.
Like I have to practice calligraphy to master something. So you set your own goals for yourself.
Right.
So there's a different pressure for yourself to perform. You're self-driven, yourself. What do you say, goals, or you can aims for, I need to do that. I really need to master that. It is, your practice towards it and stuff. So that was a time when I really got my calligraphy, practiced my calligraphy on my own. Like, yes, there was a project submission, but yes, I want to learn this script. I want to focus on doing Old English or Devanagari again in different styles, or exploring an informal space of calligraphy. I got in touch with Pallav sir at some point of time when his studio was in some a part of South in Bombay city, and I said, "Can I come and take your 15 minutes? I just want to show you a little of my work." And he, "Oh, okay, of course you can come down anytime to the studio, and I would be more than happy to see your work and everything." So I saw I showed him some work, and he said, "Good, give it up." And he did some calligraphy and pulled out something for me and rolled and gave it to me.
Right.
And yeah, this is where I came in person touch with him, and it came frequently. The meetups came frequently. He used to just see my work and never commented, never.
Right.
Never till date,
Okay.
he has never
So he's never
had a
critiqued you as such.
never.
Okay.
Never. And it was always a distant, unsaid, what I
Right.
say. So he said, after initially I had really afraid of showing my work to him. Complex hai abhi मैं तो intern हूँ ऐसा इतना छोड़. I mean, I've done little bit of work in calligraphy and explored things, and to reach out to him, to show him itself was overwhelming for me. And he should tell me, yes, good, you keep it up, and I would like to see more of your work soon. And okay, and that's it. And then animation was happening parallelly to me, and it was a tug of war. Should I choose calligraphy again, and it's animation again? And oh my god, I make living out of animation, or I can make living out of calligraphy, and again into, but I can't, it's like marriage and love. I'm married to animation, but I love calligraphy.
Yeah.
It's like, how can I leave my commitment towards my marriage of animation, what I've chosen, and film design is what I can't leave, and it is. But calligraphy is my first love. You can't forget your first love. It is literally like it is my first love, and it was. Now when I connect the dots back, I see that is the space where it gives you. It's a meditative space for me.
I do, being aware of your work, I see that influence very strongly in your work, because as I even told you that there's a sense of, like, with your work, I've seen that you don't specify with your sketches, but there's a feeling, there's an energy. That's why I liked it when you use the word energy in terms of calligraphy, because it's about that. It's not much about the physical mark that you see, but the energy it represents. So that kind of seeps into a lot of your concept, like design work, and we'll get to that eventually as to how that also has an impact in your live action work, because convincing a director of a feeling rather than showing them like a very specific thing and them still buying it, that says a lot. Like, that says a lot about the work working on multiple levels than just on a visual level.
Yes, calligraphy is a very integral part of me. It's a part of me. I mean, it's literally.
Of course.
So it came down to me as choosing an elective to a space where now it is a space of self-immersive space. I mean, it's a very meditative space, or a space where for, I don't know, you could give me a correct word to it, called riyaz.
Okay, the practice, yeah.
What you do every day,
Right.
but that the everyday practice for any traditional art or a classical art it needs that discipline of riyaz.
Right.
So without that, it is impossible to perform.
Right.
So that discipline has come to me. Of course, if you don't sketch, if you don't practice anything, it is impossible to perform. So you have to sharpen your knife every day to perform.
Right. Also, like, on a non right, but on a non-physical level as well, if you think about it, like, when people talk about something as a creative genius, right? Like, okay, this person is a creative genius, that person is a creative genius. This has also been something that I've even read about. Like, genius is something that you don't own. you have to do your due diligence to deserve that genius that to come into you for a period of time. So
Yeah.
the work that you do, like we all now realize, because the terms that are thrown around about, hustling, work ethic, work hard, this and that, it all kind of, points towards the fact that do enough to show respect towards this art, and then you might be blessed with that genius at some point. So keep at it.
That's
Right.
very beautifully said,
Right.
Ayan. Yes, so but this was an unsaid rule for everybody that
Right.
time. I
Right.
think in any artist is it has he has or he or she has its self discipline towards anything what he do what that artist does.
Right.
It's a part of self discipline what you give it to the dedication or how focused you are
Right.
towards it and how sensitive you are towards it. So it comes to you naturally. I think it's just second nature to you,
Right.
having that discipline to you. So yeah, calligraphy, it didn't only influence me in terms of what do you say aesthetics, but in many ways to spiritually.
Right.
It also opened up a lot, unfolded my vision to now when I say it, I can define it as a spiritual
Of
space,
course.
or self realizing space, or
Right.
but at that time it was a space which I was comfortable with.
Right.
I was feeling good about it
Hmm.
with that medium, and that is what it is. It's peace.
Right. Right.
It
It's very
calms you down.
meditative. You.
That is what I said.
Yeah.
It is very meditative. If I have a very stressful day or anything, at the end of it, or I just it is not practice every day, but any time when I'm it's very stressful
Right.
of in any way, I just I have a pen and a pen with me, and I write anything,
Right.
on my diary. I have a small notebook which is always with me, and yeah, it's right here. And this is the calligraphy
Oh,
pen I
lovely.
have, and there is this ink bottle I have always with me together.
Oh,
So,
fantastic.
so it's all. I mean, it is all, and this pencil is with me.
Right.
So it is matlab, it is always with me. These two. So it is always with the stressful thing, or it's a very meditative to calm me down. I'm a
Right.
very what do you say anxiety say, I mean it is very very
Right.
I get driven in that content or emotion. I'm a very emotional person, so
Right.
for me to calm down, to what we say breathe, calm down, we breathe. So
Right.
to hold on to my temperament, this is one of this medium which unknowingly calmed me down
Wow. Okay.
and helped me be in self control of a situation, or so. And that time, now when I see, we can structure this process and give them a name, or we give a term to it, but that time it was a space which uh, made me comfortable in,
Right.
or it took me away from that stress. So now when I go back and say, oh no, yes, it was a meditative state, this
Right.
is because it happened, and when you connect the dots, and it came to me, as I said, the pencil adopted me, calligraphy adopted me, films
Right.
adopt, I mean, they choose me.
Right.
The films or the content chooses me, I don't choose them, is
You are
what
an open book at
I
that
still
front. You
say.
just soak in as it comes to you.
Yeah, because as I told you, it is, I am a very, what do you say, I'm not, there is a saying in Marathi, or you say, it's in your blood and flesh, the art.
Right. Right.
You see that art when you're child, you see that those reflections in
Right.
your childhood, who's a storyteller, you see that child, you see their parents telling them, when since she was a child, we saw her doing it, or a dancer, or a writer, or a director. We see those traits when, we are a
Of
kid.
course. Yeah.
I was not that. I was. function person. Okay, this is you have to finish schooling. Yes, I have to do schooling. You have to do art college. Yes, I have to do art college. And I was, what do you say, when it is in your bone, it's when it is in your DNA, you don't have to, you don't have, you go towards it.
Right.
You choose it. I chose to be a director since I was a kid. I used to draw when I was a kid. So there was no second mind or second thought, okay, I can do something else but drawing. With me, it was not the case. After 10th, that time it was, it was only 3 professions you had that time. It was an IT age. 1991 was very much of IT. It was either engineering or doctorate or
business.
not business. It is either
like the commerce side of things a bit more.
Either it could be doctorate or it could be being CA.
Right.
Art was nowhere close to anybody.
It was still like a passion thing, basically.
Yeah, to be very honest, barbadi. Choosing art was like, how will you live?
It's self-destruction, self-immolation.
Yeah, it was like self-destructive thing to choose. And how will you make living out of it? And
it was respect to your parents for still, understanding your need.
Of course, I mean, that goes without
at
saying.
That point, I can only imagine how difficult it would be for them to understand, even conceptualize things. Even now, I think situations are a lot better. But still, like, if your child says that I want to pursue an art thing, they will say yes, but there's a part of the brain that will be like, okay. But at that point, it might be much more difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to put that in words, but as I told you, I'm a blessed child where, my father or my parents had never burdened me with any of their, choices or opinions or nothing. I was a free bird with you. But the only thing what they have told me always since, when I grew up to an age where I understand what they are saying, be responsible to what you do, what you choose. You have to be responsible for your...
Accept the consequences of the actions that you make right now.
Correct. Whatever you're doing, you're right from eating a junk to
it's the whole karma cycle.
You do it. You want to do this, you do it. But you have to be responsible for what you're doing. Is only thing what they have told me. If you study well, you are going to get marks, and if you're going to get marks, you are going to survive. Or
that's such an important thing to even tell.
They never burden me with studies or you have to do this or but they always ask me, what is your preference first? I think that this is a choice, but that also after hearing me out. Not that because your friends are doing engineering or my cousins or are doing engineering or they have made their choices or this is in the peak and it will give you a life, a settled life after a few years, and that doesn't mean you whatever you choose is not going to give you. But if you are choosing a hard way, you have to face those consequences as well.
Of course.
If they are choosing a life it's suitable for them, that doesn't mean that it will you choose it, and if you are not able to perform you will be in a difficult position. As I said, it is it is a choice. It's a very sensitive you have to be very sensitive towards what you want to achieve.
Of course.
The choices is the right word, I can say. We have immense power that at that age to make a choice and to say no and to stick to what we choose and not give up is a humongous pressure. It's a huge pressure. You take it. More than saying yes to say no is I think it's it's an immense, it's a big power what you have at that time, and we don't realize that power of saying no. And I just coming back to my college, where when I said to say no to, or to choose calligraphy, it's always saying no to do things. So being coming from an average student to getting into a choice given to me, that what do you want to do instead, what do you don't. I was very clear what I don't want to do. I don't want to study it, because that was to do a doctorate, to do an engineering, so much study. And because I had my elder cousins doing engineering and doctorate and doing medicine, how much 18 hours a day they are studying, they are doing practicals and doing things. And I was like, am I ready for that? I am not ready for that. I'm really thankful to have my elder cousins doing it. They gave me a very clear vision that am I ready to do that? I said no. Then I chose a comfort space for me, that yes. Then what do I choose? I choose art.
Right.
Which is, but am I? I'm a very average student, as I told you. I'm not a born artist, or I have a very much what jisko Marathi mein, if I don't know whether there is a phrase called hadacha artist. Hadacha artist means it's in your DNA.
Right.
Okay. And there are two types of artists. One which is a born artist, which you have in your DNA, and second is you have to build. You have to क्या बोलते हैं आपको, आप bone और आप flesh से बने हो, आपके DNA में नहीं है, but you have to work out. So it's in your flesh. Right. It's in your muscles. It is not in your
Which one
DNA.
would you pick though, like out of being a born artist? Like if you were given a choice. If you were given a choice. If you were given a choice.
Given a choice, I had no choice. That's what I said. Right. So I was not a born artist, but I was a person, if I have to work out towards it. Right. With, if I work out every day, I get those muscles. If I don't work out, I lose out.
That's true, because I think the reason why I asked that, because personally I would always pick the second one, because when you are born with a certain thing, there's a level of taking for granted that process that we go through with our skills. And if you don't, I think someone like you who has respected that discipline constantly has been able to build that skill. But if you don't respect it, thinking that you already have it within you, eventually that leaves you, it doesn't remain a part of you. You still do,
because I'm not figure it out. Sorry. Yeah. I'm on the other side, so I don't know how does it feel when you're a born artist.
But yeah, I mean, neither was I. I mean, it's just like thinking on that front, I was like, okay, if I had a certain skill and I knew that, okay, I'm a born artist. I like every time I use a pencil to touch a paper, like something great will come out. That brings in a certain specific arrogance, I feel, towards it, where you are not you feel like you deserve this. That's why you have it. But I think after a point, you lose it unless you do again the work towards maintaining that. Some people do like recognize that they have this ability and they still work towards it to push it to the next level, where the creative genius again comes in.
See, as I told you, it was always what do you say? I was literally a free-flowing person. I was never a structured. But I have friends, who have done their storytelling or wrote stories, or there are so many experiences when they were in school. They were caricatured their teachers in the drawing books. I mean, their their notebooks, and they have written weird stories, and there are successful short films right now. So we could see those, that those shades since they were child, and the love for filmmaking, the love of making up stories. So I mean, most of my friends who are storytellers or filmmakers or directors, they have seen the reflections in early childhood, and they have driven themselves, choosing it as a academic, and then a profession, and then a living outfit. So yes, for me it was, as I told you, I was a very average. I am a very average artist, where I'm getting okay, this is what is fascinating me. I will go towards it. This is fascinating me right now. I'll get pulled over that. So it is not one thing which is yes, I chose one thing to make living out, living out. But yes, of course, the love for filmmaking is what has kept me consistent. It could be, and that has helped me explore all the mediums, you know. It is the end product, the filmmaking, the design, the film design, or is always the end product which has fascinated me. So designing for a feature, or designing for a short film, designing for gaming, or designing for anything, you know, which is, so if that is the end product, then I have to design this. Is always has been fascinated me to do it. So yes, of course, and saying I always feel one thing, you know, that saying no is initially, now when I, you know, as I said, I've been saying many frequently that connecting the dots behind, saying no is a huge responsibility, which now I realize when you just give a sense of what do you say, mature decision making, or you know, when you say, okay, I say no to doing a film, or say no to this, or say to no to that, it becomes very as we grow, the pressure of saying no, the importance of saying no comes to you. But at that age, it was a choice which I made, you know. I don't want to do this because that is not my cup of tea.
Right.
But it is art my cup of tea? Is when I landed in art college, started questioning, oh, is this okay? Then I have a different struggle altogether, because I took elective as my calligraphy, and I end up into filmmaking, and it is all what, you know, as I told you, I was never a structured person. I wanted to do film design, and this is the route to it. Because in India, there were no animation schools. Never. Till now, there are no structured filmmaking schools, you know, attached to a college, or at college students are trained accordingly. If it's very different academics in India compared to, you know, any other countries. So art college was had a syllabus, and we all used to pass out through them. And then animation was very, very new, and which fascinated. And there were no animation schools, so we had to learn on production. So we were just fortunate to have, you know, USL or Ronnie Schoolwala to arrange all these trainings on production for us, and then giving us that time of training, and then take a production. But training is different. And being, what do you say, working on deadlines is different when you have zero experience of production. I mean, as a pipeline production, where you have deadlines, where you have, you know, all this very structured and stringent way of working and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean,
I think there's a level of unlearning involved once you come out of college and you enter the production environment. You realize a lot of things that are taught in school and college as well probably does not exactly, you know, transition well into an actual full production environment. At least that's what I felt initially when I left college and then I got into a company. There was a certain bit of unlearning, or like the expectations changed. Like we have this certain view of how working in the industry would be, and then you enter. There are certain shifts from what's been sold as an ideal artistic career in this in the industry.
That's a beautiful thing what you mentioned right now, to unlearn. I actually had in my pointers, when I was trying to, you know, I was putting down things what I want to discuss with you. It is learn to unlearn.
Right.
So any new thing you want to explore, or you want to try your hands on, the first thing is what you have to unlearn what you have done. However, you have practiced for, you know, we have practiced certain things for many, many years, but you want to try a new thing, you have to unlearn certain things, and you have to start fresh. Only then you are, you know, able to absorb or learn new. You make a room to learn new. If I mean, I always feel, you know, if you're filled up with a lot of information, it's very difficult to make room to a new information to fit in. It's always better that, you empty your vessel,
Right.
and you go in and you come filled in again. So that becomes like a bank to you. Every time you do something new, you have to unlearn what you have done before. So only then you can make, you're receptive.
Right. I think ego plays a big part in this, because I think a lot of times when a lot of us have struggled to unlearn something, is because your ego gets attached to the information that you learn. And like I recently was reading this book by this man Stephen Pressfield, and he wrote this book called the War of Art. And it's basically, I think I've not finished the book, but what feels like he speaks about how people can become their best creative selves, how to win that inner war. And he refers to ego as nothing but resistance, right? So anything that, like, every time, if you are struggling with a work ethic that you want to set up, like if you're procrastinating, it's the ego telling you that you're not used to doing this. You can go ahead and do the simple things which are you're comfortable with, but if you break through that, suddenly you find something new. And there's another guy, Robin Sharma, he uses this, right? He uses this term like a bad day for the ego is a beautiful day for the soul. Right. So you break through that ego. You recognize ego is just resistance. In the end, it's nothing more. The self wants to feel that, okay, this is, I know this and this is what it is. But then if you find something that does not resonate with you and it's hurting your ego, take a moment to acknowledge, and you find something more beautiful.
That's what I said. You need to empty your vessel.
Right. Exactly.
You have to put down things, unless you. So these are very small things where you have to put down your ego, or what do you say? There are small things. Meaning, there are these small things in our culture where if you go visit Indian temples, Mahadev temple especially, there is a very small space to get into the what do you say, the main what do you say, the where the idol is, the space where the idol is. There is this open space in front of the temple. And then actually when you go to the inner space of the temple, there is a very small there are low heighted door. Or usually in temples, but especially in Mahadev temples, the what do you say, the linga, the Mahadev linga is down there somewhere in the small space. Or else usually the temple doors are small, height wise. They're structured that way. Why you know that? Because you have to lean down and go inside.
Oh wow! Oh, interesting.
So you can't enter with your head held high. So that gives you become modest first. You rest down your head and then enter.
Wow.
Surrender a little.
Okay.
So that is how we are brought up, in knowingly, unknowingly. But yes, it is a very to cut down your ego, you have to bend down. First, bend down. You learn to bend down. So
that's incredible.
So all this, it has come to, unless you surrender yourself to what you believe in. Why are you first place in the temple? Because you believe in that power, you believe in that energy. So it's why to carry that ego with you? Surrender yourself, bend down a little, come down to a modesty, empty yourself, and then go and have a gratitude,
Of course.
So this is how, if you want to learn something new, if you want to be receptive, if you want to learn, you have to make room for that. And unless you make it empty, or, the more emptier you make, the more information you will have space for. So it's better, it's to unlearn things and to learn new. But that doesn't mean you have to give away your skills. Unlearn the information, not your skills. So, but yes, coming back to calligraphy, yes, calligraphy has impact, means it had started helping me doing simplicity, thinking simplicity, to make it graphic. initially, when you grow, when you're exploring certain things, you have dozens of things around you. You have choices. As youth, as what you are exposed to so many choices. Your 3D, multimedia, graphic design, graphic novel, illustration, falana, Unreal. Now this AI and VR, and do I go back to traditional choices of art, or there is another part of music to it, and performing arts, and so much around you to make a choice about.
Right.
How do you simplify it as you grow? Your choices simplify you. The choices make you simplify your decisions. Right. This is how you make yourself graphic. So calligraphy helped me simplify and plays a humongous role on sharpening my aesthetics.
Right.
To give me a disciplined role to me, and giving me at the same time, it is extremely meditative to help me focus internally. So if you practice, I do workshops for all age group, about 12, and calligraphy is not limited, to any age group. So, and it's a very free-flowing medium. So I have done a couple of workshops with art colleges, yes, but yes, with for fashion design institutes, or taking design as principles of design, and giving a workshop in my calligraphy team. It's all weaved in. It is, you can't differentiate one art to another. Right. It is, but any art gives you, they say, there is a correct word in Hindi called ठहराव. It grounded. It gives you ground.
Yeah.
It gives you a grounded. It pulls you down to ground. It keeps your feet on the ground. However, you're flying. You're flying in your head, but it keeps you grounded at the same time.
Of course.
So that gives you modesty. Calligraphy has played an immense role. It not only in terms of building my aesthetics, or helping me grow in my work of compositions and everything, but that plays, playing with positive and negative, the right. Black and white, purely black and white, either black on white or white on black, which gives you a distinct definition of dividing a space.
Right.
So taking ahead that
a term which is used these days, the graphic read of an image, get a very clear read of what you're seeing in the image. So like the contrast allows you to understand, as you said,
it's a sheer contrast, the black and white. What is more real than that?
Also, it helps you making decisions as to, because when you look at a final image, you will see the black and white merge into different parts, but at the end, the true understanding of an image comes from what is specific, what is like the prioritized point in an image, right? And so with black, you might be like painting a part of it where the black has shades of darker gray and this and that, but mentally you resolve it to a flat black read for the white to pop out. Right. So that kind of playfulness comes into that.
So it is black and white. So the whole composition, whatever the composition, a sense of composition came to me through calligraphy, defining black and white. And black and white is a huge, a philosophy of, if you say, yin and yang.
Of course, yeah.
So it is not only that. That is what I'm saying, that the black and white has come to me a very long way. When I connect the dots, I said now I feel really happy about this journey. That this came to me at a spiritual level as well, where I could see either it is black or it is white.
Of course,
you have to, your decision making. If it is gray, it is, you are in trouble, in life also. So it attached, that philosophy attached to your many ways in your life. But coming back to design as calligraphy, yes, it has definitely a huge, it is a part of my, it takes a huge part of my design, aesthetics, where I build film frames, right from film frames to any composition, wherever composition comes in place, calligraphy is a big role. So
I
yeah.
want to hear, I mean, tying the aspect of calligraphy and also part of your education and teachers, I want to bring it to the conversation that we had recently in a lot more depth, which was when we were discussing about your work, and I did drop the name of Hans Bacher and
Yeah.
how much I see his influence on your work. And I found it interesting when you also asked me, like, as you were also curious to see why it fell that way,
Yeah.
and then we had a conversation about that. So then I found out that you actually have a beautiful relation with Hans Bacher in the past, and you still do. The name's pretty famous. He's one of the like ultra pioneer production designers from the earlier classical Disney times. If you think of the film Mulan, his images pop up in your head immediately, like just the landscape, the way he would design. It's like he set up the whole aesthetic of what production design for animation and anim- uh, primarily animation looks like, how you understand how to design, how to set up a language for a film, and he has books about it. So we'll get into that portion. Yes,
Yeah,
please
I mean,
continue.
Hans Becker doesn't need any introduction.
He
I guess
doesn't
his
really.
name, his
Yeah,
name is enough to know his almost 45 years in production design,
right.
and you just named the director, the best director across the world, right from Steven Spielberg to
Yeah,
having more than 20 years in Disney and all the classic films, what we know from Lion King, The Beauty and the Beast, Mulan, and you just name it, and
right,
you see his work there.
right,
And now, yes, and I mean, everybody is, hugely inspired by him. And of course, I was not the only one. I was not a left out,
right,
everybody is a huge fan of Hans's work. And I just say that I'm again a blessed person where I could come in acquaintance with him.
right.
And in 2012, where he had Asifa India had organized his talk in Bombay.
Yeah.
And of course, I didn't miss it. I took the best opportunity to be in that talk. And after that talk,
Asafa was one of the animation festivals, one of the big animation festivals
yes.
in our country. Yeah.
So yes, they had arranged talk of Hans Becker, a special talk, an event on
Right.
for his talk, and the whole day he was there, and I think that was one of the memory I will treasure for my life. And to see him in person, who I've always seen his work in books and in the articles, and all that, a face in his photographs, but to see him in person and hear him and explain him his own work was mesmerizing. It was literally to see him 2 feet away from me was I was speechless that time. And yeah, after that talk, I had Dreamworld's his first book with me, and to take an autograph on.
Right.
And yeah, I think that was the first meeting with him. And after that talk, I walked to him and said, "Yes, sir, I would love to show you my work and have your insights." And I emailed him my work link and everything. And yeah, since then I'm in touch with him apart. I mean, and been sharing a little bit of work, having him insights. And yeah, I'm really really fortunate to have Hans by my side to guide me, mentor me for some things, and giving me his insights in many, many ways, because he is a huge influence of me. When you say that, you know, I can see a bit of Hans's influence, is I can connect back to you, is because you know, you think similar.
Right.
He is a person who will simplify things. If you read his book, I think he's the only, or one of the persons who can explain things very beautifully, who can simplify the thoughts and explain it to you. That simplifying things he is, what to say, he is I just put my, you know, I just put everything hands on down to him, like, you know, it's a spiritual journey. When I have crossed those many years after knowing him or showing him, when I met him first, I was this hugely anxious girl, you know, anxiety. I mean, you know, I want to show him this, I want to do that. Yeah, I want to do, you know, I want to join Disney, I want to work for this, I want to do that, blah blah. I was like dozens of things to tell him. And after 10 years or 12 years now, okay, I've done this, I've chosen this, I'm doing this. And it is, you know, you start simplify yourself. And this is what Hans is. He is extremely grounded, extremely modest, and at the same time extremely self-disciplined, and and he's a calligrapher.
Yeah.
So that simplicity of design, and to translate that into design, how calligraphy has helped him to get into, you know, simplifying thought processes. His understanding of camera, his understanding towards life, he has seen so much of life very closely. If you know, I mean, if you want to know more about him, his journey, World War II, I mean, you know, he has seen all that. And coming to US, joining Disney, and working on the classics, and then going back to teaching, and you know, it's a huge thing. And then a person like me going like a very bubbly, want to do what to say, has no clue. You just want, you know, want to do multiple things at the same time, to goes to him, and at the same time he calms me down. And you know, it's a journey to you know, to to go, what do you say, to simplify things, so that you can has the common thread of being graphic. So as I always say, you know, as you grow, you become graphic. Yes, it is with experience, and with age, and the choices what you make, with what life your journey is it you make yourself, it's being graphic. So being graphic means, if you know, the beautiful graphic is, if you know the real form of anything, like, you know, an actual real form of proportions, only then you will be able to make a graphic out of it. Yes. You know the limitations of where to simplify and how to simplify. Unless you don't know the original form of anything, you will not be able to simplify it. So it is with, you can attach this line to anything what you do. You design, or you live life, or your beliefs, or anything. So the minute you start simplifying things, or that means you are lessening down a clutter around you.
It's kind of, at some level, it's basically relinquishing control. I think the more graphic you become, the more you are able to, you know, trust the process a little bit more, because when you see a lot more layers added in a painting and doesn't sit coherently, that means the artist is trying to control every bit of it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to put this level of detail because this will explain what's actually happening with the subject matter. But when you become more graphic, when you become more simplified, you let go of that. You trust that the core essence is enough to convince your audience or yourself,
Correct.
to
So
see
it is,
for what it is.
yes, yes. So absolutely, you said it right. So it is, being graphic or simplify is a process one
Yes.
goes through, and the more cluttered you are, the more messier you are, the more confused you are.
Right.
So it also, now when I see my father, he from my school days, so this is like, an unconscious impacts you have. And
Yeah.
when you see now, these are inspirations, or these are the things which made me what I am right now, or whatever I do right now. This is an unknown thing which has impacted you when in your growing age. When my dad used to tell me, when my father used to tell me that you have to draw a margin before you start writing on a blank page. And that itself meant, you need to be organized. Margins is to used to, you have to organize yourself.
Right, of course.
The messier mind is a messier life.
Absolutely.
So the minute you start organizing, you have a margin. You are that discipline comes to you.
Right.
Having a margin itself is a discipline. That means that these are upbringings, unknowingly, unconsciously, you're brought up in. So
yeah, it seeps into your work. I mean, I think like this is also, I've always said, like art is essentially a symptom of who we are, who the kind of life that we have lived. Like the
correct.
final
So
image is so much more than just the painting, right? Like the kind of mark that you make. Like you've been on a spiritual journey with all of these mentors, but your upbringing is with a very disciplined father. So you see that balance kind of,
and that also,
playing
it is
into
not
each other.
forced discipline.
It's not, yeah.
It was never a forced discipline. I have seen him practicing this.
Yeah.
And hence, it is like cleanliness.
Right.
There is no option for
Right.
cleanliness. The love for plants or nature, or giving yourself. Being a teacher, he had that, I owe something to the society, I need
Right.
to give back. That gratitude of giving back to the
Yeah.
society. Or my mother, she has served in government hospital for last 36 years. She got retired
Wow.
few years back. But two humongous role models itself in my house, where the inspiration lands right in front of me.
Of course. Of course.
Selfless, what do you say, practice given to the society.
Right.
In working in government hospitals, she was working for pathology, and later when she got retired last 10 years, she was working for blood bank. So imagine the trauma that department has. The efficient you have to be, the alert you have to be, the psychology you have to deal with the patients, with the trauma when they come through. They have to, it is so much pressure you are working in, and still you have to go back. You have your own life. And uh, you know you have to still be calm at your own space.
Of course.
You have children to raise up. See, there is one side, there are 100 years for her, and she's in. Let me. Here she is.
Oh, okay.
So, I come. So here she is, and she is the biggest. What I say, I told the inspiration starts from home. So
That's lovely.
so here she is.
Hello, ma'am. How are
So,
you?
yeah, she is on my headphones. So yeah, so she is here. She is.
Hello, hello.
And
Super nice to meet you.
as I told you, she is my spiritual guru. She is everything. What she has, I've been brought up with the discipline and love and everything. So yeah, the inspiration starts. Yeah. Thank you. So Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
So yeah, so this is how she has kept me rooted and grounded all the while. And
Right.
so when you have these people around you to who teach you, give you that impact of, you know, these are these unconscious or subconscious impacts on you, as I told you.
Of course. And also, I feel like recently only I started learning this a lot more in my life, is that discipline is something that can be taught, but it cannot be lectured into you. You have to
Yeah.
have people around you who live that life for you
Yeah.
to, become a student to that. And like once you
Absolutely.
are willing to be that student, the teacher, like presents itself to you, where like your parents
Correct.
became those teachers for
Of
you,
course.
right?
That's what I said. So I had these, what to say, people around me to inspire me since I got an age where I could, you know, it was a subconscious absorption which it
Right.
never forced me on anything, you know, to, of course there are some studies and, you know, some naughtiness I do, but yes, all these they have practice on their own. So what you see is what you adopt, right?
Of
So
course.
this is all, and the freedom, the at the same time, you know, the responsibilities of choices what you make, the freedom what you get, I mean, to be sensitive towards it, you know, about that freedom, and not get carried away with certain things,
Right.
or have self-control, you know, all this because of this reading what she has always done. As I told you, she was a very avid reader, or my friends or my sister around. So having these people around has built me in a very internally very strong, you know.
Of course.
So, which internally strong meaning to when I am falling short of confidence or I'm falling weak at times. So there were, of course, these are very prime names of in my life where, you know, I want to highlight of right from my parents to my college professors to of course when I to in everything which I chose academically and later as a profession and then as a living. But after spending so much time in versatile, exploring so many things in so many mediums, so it is right from, as I said, it's from academics to my college to my choosing an art studio which does greeting cards, to my friends around me which comes from various backgrounds of what do you say, various backgrounds of profession, and to choosing animation, to getting into an animation studio, then getting into 3D animation studio, working with live action, and starting working with live action independently, then getting into VFX, then trying my hands on VR ride films and with short films, with clay animation, stop motion, and with lot many, I mean, with gaming and with different modes of, you know, with TV commercials, OTT, with a longer format or a short format. So the limitations of working from a 5-minute short film to now recently with an OTT content of a 7-season content.
Wow. Okay.
So the vision you need to expand of okay, there is you want to tell a story in 5 minutes,
Right.
okay, then you want to tell a story in 18 minutes of a short film,
Right.
and expanding that experience for a 13-minute ride film, which is VR, or you have to with an Oculus, and you have to the story expands till a feature length of 1 minute, 1 hour 30 minutes, from there to 3 hours, a film of 3 hours, and now an OTT content of more than 40 hours, you know. But it's the span you need to design, you know, that gave me that flexibility you need to understand of a medium, that gave me because I could I mean, that the mediums which I have explored gave me the understanding, is helping me understanding the limitations of each medium. And of course these people who have highlighted the names of make their learnings coming from them makes a huge difference in decision making as well.
Right.
Not being only for design and aesthetics, but to when I look at them, their life, the way they have planned, the discipline they followed, in every way. But yes, there are people who are not coming from art but practice art. We have a group of calligraphy where it is the group is only limited to calligraphy. So whatever content it is, and there are so many versatile people into it, right from doctors to artists to sculptors to poets to photographers to musicians. To that group is what do you say? Literally, it's an amazing group, where you have so much versatile professions coming together. But
the diversity itself helps so much.
But the common language between all of us is calligraphy.
Right.
So there is a doctor who's a veterinarian, Dr. Shirish Sirsat, and he has, I think, more than 10K followers of calligraphy, and is content developer, and there is this amazing illustrator called Nilesh Jadhav. He is a legendary actor, a designer himself. And all these people in their personal life or their own space of life are calligraphers.
Yeah.
And it is so beautiful to see, explore that part of their journey, a person who's come almost on 30 days, 28 days he's on flight and travel, and is a calligrapher.
Right.
He's the CEO of a company, and he's a calligrapher. A doctor who's practicing, and a musician who's giving 18 hours of his hours a day in creating music is a calligrapher.
Right.
A literature, a writer who's writing, as a profession also make a living out of it, and he's a calligrapher.
It feels like a voice for yourself after a point, because this is something.
I think the everything what connects us is calligraphy.
Right.
And to make it more simplified, it is aesthetics.
Okay.
So it's a circle. It's just one. I think filmmaking is just one of the dots in that circle, and I'm a part of,
Right.
And filmmaking itself is a huge, it's a huge universe itself, where I become again a dot of.
Right.
So, I'm not even existence of my work. If you see the space of creative subjects, if you see if calligraphy, so it's a humongous, it's a huge universe out there. And what is my existence in it? Right. And how much I have to do it. So all these people have their own space of calligraphy, and everybody have touched that space in their own way, in spiritual way, in their this is what I was telling you. It's a personal space which calms you down. You choose that space. So all these people who are in that group have chosen that space of calligraphy, which calms them, their own, themselves. It is their space. It is our space. Right. Which helps grow and in every way, to help find peace within us, to find calmness within us, to explore new things, which gives immense confidence to take up new decisions. The only thing, when you are paused, when you are for example, it's a very cliche example, but I'll still give you. Before a tiger makes a move, he holds on for it, right? Right. Before making a move. So calligraphy, or that space you have to be in, you have to be controlled of to make something, a decision. That power comes to you only when you have full control yourself, mentally and physically. So this is one of the medium we all found ourselves,
It became the communication, it became sort of a language that you
Yeah,
guys
and
spoke with each other.
yeah, because this is all when we come down to aesthetics, when music, because there is when we talk about music. So filmmaking, yes, of course, this is a journey when I started as in animation, of course, with USL. But now, after in last 10 years, when I see it, the more it makes you more. In last 10 years, I've become very independent in terms of. Of course, with choices, but independent in terms of choosing things for me in terms of what do you say, as calligraphy is one of things. So is music coming to me? Is sculpture coming to me? What is making me calmer, or which is helping me satisfy my soul desire?
Right.
Literally. So now when I know, yes, I was always driven to pottery since my childhood.
Okay.
And now I have a huge thrive towards ceramic. I want to paint portraits. I mean, I tried my hands on digital portraits, but I definitely, given a choice, I'll go back to GS School of Arts and do my BFA with painting and try learning that. So towards music, and I was that there was a period of time when I was extremely influenced by classical music, Hindustani classical, and I at a point where I thought I need to learn this music. I need to learn vocal because to understand music. Not of course I love music, but to understand music I need to learn it. And yes, I have to mention this name, Gitanjali Rao, here, that she after working on her films gradually in all these many years, she has introduced me to so many things, and what to say, given me an opportunity to be a part of the team always, taking me on the front foot and giving me that platform, or including me as a team member of filmmaking. For example, that was her first project, which I did for Gitanjali Rao. We were pitching for a feature, and it was based in Hampi. It was in a backdrop of Hampi, and you could see that shadows of Mahabharata on my blog, which we did a pitching deck for. And she said, "Let's go and breathe that air." And we had four of us, the story writer Gitanjali, me, and Murli, who was a DOP of that film. We went and we lived in Hampi for 5 days. And she said, if you are in that space, you experience that space, it makes a huge difference when you come back and design that space. So this was, we had all read in this, in Disney books, where, a Disney team goes to a space, went to Amazon, to when they did Tarzan, when, whenever the visual development team works on a particular
they do
feature.
a research trip to that place,
yes,
just to soak in that culture.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I said that was never practiced in India. And with Gitanjali, working on Gitanjali's films, I had always had that experience, going into that space, living that space, eating that food, breathe that air, and coming back and then, design the film where you see the space. And this was very much before when I was parallelly started doing live action. Live action, they call Reiki, location scouting. So now, after spending so much time in VFX, now I'm also a part of Reiki and location scouting. When I have a script with me, when I sign a film, so I feel really...
I think the traveler in you also, sparks when these things, these options come up.
Really, yeah, absolutely. So the privilege of being a part of that team, of research, and the visual development is the most exciting space of filmmaking,
Right.
is what I feel, and that is what drove me to
Right.
choose it. So with Gitanjali having by my side, with incredibly talented, she herself is an amazing director
Right.
and a friend. So with
Gitanjali
her,
was actually someone like I wanted to come to your friendship with Gitanjali because she used to be a masterclass faculty member for my college.
yeah,
And at that
true.
point, like I'll tell you the interesting aspect of it, and which comes back to, you know, rooting yourself towards your own cultures and traditions. Gitanjali, when she was coming as a storytelling trainer in our college, like I never had a chance to kind of like work with her, but she was training the seniors in the animation track for our college. And at that point, I guess most of the students were still in that mindset that their sun rises with Disney and sets with Pixar, right? So her inputs would probably not have as big an impact because everyone felt an inner resistance to not include Indian culture into their stories at that point. Now, after almost 10 to 9 to 10 years of seeing this, and recently, again, yesterday, I was actually watching Bombay Rose bit by bit. It just felt like there's a level of homage and tribute that she has for her stories. And that also brings me to like when Sachin told me about your work and I saw your work on Facebook, I saw you and Gitanjali happen. Like it's not a colleague relationship, it's friendship, it's a bond
Yeah,
much deeper than that, which is
yeah.
something very beautiful about the industry as well. Like you don't remain mere colleagues, you actually become like very like strong friends. So
Yeah, of course, that
yeah.
bond, I will always, as a director, she's always I mean, she's one of the finest animation filmmakers
Right,
of India.
right,
She's a person who I've always looked up to, and at the same time, she's one of the best friends I ever had in my
right,
life. But in every way, in terms of looking towards life, the challenges, she has always helped me, when we are burdened with, for a simple
right,
word called download.
right.
Yeah, I have called you to download things
Yeah,
to my mind,
just venting
Everything
and just
out.
like soaking.
Yeah, so when you're lost, or at some point of time you have no words to also to talk. There were times when we have just sat together and
Right.
without conversations, and you understand that silence of space, the importance of that space given to you, and calm you down and understand, and help you understand. She has seen more world than me. She has seen really, as a critic, as a jury, as she has traveled the world. Her film has taken so many places, and she's a very respectful director.
Of course.
Having all these people by my side has given me immense strength in every step of decision making. I've looked over them, not every time I've called them, but looking at them, it has, given me strength to decide,
Right,
to say no to.
right.
I'm still, I am bringing my courage to say no to so many things, but I'm not ready to. But yeah, so having that unknown power of no was better, I feel, than having a sense of power of saying no.
Right.
So, anyways, so. Yeah, with having Gitanjali around, or all these musicians around, Saili Khare, who's a musician, who herself is, a writer, music composer, singer, who
Right.
did music for Bombay Rose.
Hmm.
You know, these are inspirations who are around me. A production designer who's a very close friend called named Rita Ghosh.
Mhm.
She's a production designer. She has done almost more than 20 films, 25 films now in Indian film industry, and
Right.
she's a very prominent name whom I came who with whom I associated through Manto,
Right.
the last action film which we did for Nandita Das,
Right.
and since then I have I see her work, and she is amazing. I mean, if you see her work, the body of work, what she has done, the discipline, what she has, it is seen through, you know, her work. She is a 2-time Filmfare nominee, and it's amazing. It's incredible to see her work. And when we go back to her personal life and we see the discipline, she is the amazing person who loves calligraphy, who if she's an extremely disciplined. If you see her diaries, if you see my diaries of notes, and it's all messed up after some time, only I could understand my handwriting. But if you see her diaries, it is like, you know, you can actually put it for an exhibition and like, ये तो calligraphy का काम है यार, इतना सुंदर, it's such beautiful disciplined writing, notes and preps, and what disciplined life she has, the cleanliness she follows, her sets, if you go and see. So these are people, you know, they're just around me, full of inspiration, and I'm just around these people who are I have no escape through, you know, even if I wish to. I'm just blessed to have these people around. And if you see Satish PM, he is a very prominent name in sound design, who did sound design for Bahubali, and who was a 4-5-time national award winner. And he's a very, very prominent name in filmmaking now. And when we were designing for True Love Story, the sound design, Gitanjali calls me up and says, Rupali, you want to see magic of Satish? I said, will I be able to? He said, of course. And at 3 in the morning, he was standing and cutting out on the sound. And when we were laying down, okay, this is magic. Okay, this is magic. I mean, it was about to be in 3 hours, but it ended up into, like, you know, morning 3 o'clock. And I was just mesmerized with this. To see, so to contribute your team members in the process is very rare, you know. I would want to mention Vaibhav Kumaresh here, where he also incorporated his team in every step of building your progress of your story in. So I was fortunate enough, you know, to every time when his film used to progress, Rupali, when whatever I've been a design part of that, our film has gone here and I've edited it. You please come to the studio and see the edit. Okay, we have done a scratch music to it. Okay, I'm excited to show you the music done for it. Okay, Rupali, you please come here, and we have done this, we finished that. I mean, you know, to involve your team members to the process. It's a very rare thing. Not everybody does it. But I was fortunate that every single director I came across, or any producer I worked with,
involved you a lot more into the process than just assigning a role, basically.
Absolutely. And right from, you know, right from I chose art as my profession, since then till date, I'm just fortunate enough, I literally touch wood to say, you know, they involved me, they want me to be a part of it, and I grew it unknowingly with them. So it's you know, they just threw me things, and how much I could absorb, you know. So I have a bunch of people who are weirdly, you know, they are not only artists or painters, but I have very close friends who are really good composers, you know, in music, who are in sound design, who are in production design, who are doing beautiful ceramic work, and they are into photography, and you know, they are into amazing travelers. Travel groups, they make solo trips, they are amazing travelers, are like, you know, really, really good travelers and hikers, and nature photographers, and wild photography they do. And I have a bunch of influencers on me.
I see a trait of everyone being a wanderer, essentially. You know, they just wander into different aspects of life, and they like nothing is in control. You see it, you take it in. This will add. It doesn't have to give you a job at the end of the day. It doesn't have to make you rich at the end of the day, but it is wealth on its own, right? Like as you kind of explore it.
as I told, so I have a huge treasure of these people around and their experiences and their stories, and I've been literally showered with their wisdom, to have them around me is a blessing. That's all I can say. What I mean, even you asked me, this is what you, I mean, whatever you are, you are. So I've not accomplished anything. I'm literally, as I say, I'm a very average performing person who trying to make living out of what I'm loving it. I feel thankful enough that I could make a living out of something which I love to do.
Right.
And
eventually we all become like, our personality identity is basically the sum of wonderful different parts that you've lived, like through people, through places.
So I have seen, many of artists in the studio, or many of my colleagues or friends of my school and college who, I chose engineering, but I definitely wanted to be a poet someday, or I wanted to be in animation, but I went to, I did my doctorate here, I did my commerce there, but I never wanted to do that. I wanted to do this. But I'm just fortunate, I'm just thankful that, to have that freedom of choice given to me by my parents, that you can choose whatever you want, and the only thing is you need to stick to it. Whatever you decide, you can shift and change at whatever time or point of life, but you have to stick to it and make sure that you're independent enough to take the responsibility.
Of course.
You can't ignore. So keeping the morals intact of life, keeping the perspective of life intact, taking your life really, in control of you. I mean, there are situations, there is a huge graph of up and down in everybody's life. So it's, of course, I'm not the chosen one to get away from that. But yeah, there are trauma situations in your life. There are difficult times. There are crucial times, financial, emotional. There are. But the only thing what keeps you rooted is your your models of life, your upbringing, and
the principles, the value systems that you've set up for yourself,
and what you have been, your upbringing, of course, and then how you have evolved as a person. So yes, it's not only the journey of filmmaking, but yeah, सब कुछ है मेरे life में, live action, drama, emotion. So the whole life is film for me.
So as you said, around this time when you were working with Gitanjali, so that's still the animation aspect of your career, and then you're also very much in the live action space of things. And not just that, you are one of the core members in visualizing those worlds now. So at that point, like, how was that transition for you? Like, what was the project that kind of brought you, into the whole live action space? And like, how was that transition for you in general, from moving from animation to working with actual sets and everything?
Talking about animation, live action is in 2013. I was called for Bahubali. In Hyderabad, there's a studio called Fireflies, and that studio became a base camp for that production, and all the pre-production was done in-house under one roof in that studio. So I was called for environment design, and that was my first independent live action production design, environment design project, which I was handling it at that scale. I mean, so I just went, and I had more of an animation work with me rather than live action experience. But as I told you, it was environment. Medium didn't matter to me. It is an exploration for pre-production. So medium is not a barrier, of course. Like it could be animation, it can be any medium. If it is, you need to understand your design format or the limitations which comes to that with that medium, and you're there. So Yeah, and I started with Bahubali came to me, and
Right.
I had an interview. I showcased my portfolio to Rajamouli sir. So this call comes to me from a Hyderabad studio, and Aditya Chari, who's also is an incredible artist of
One of the
India.
best. One of the best. Yeah.
So he called me up, and he was doing character designs for that film. And he calls me up and says, Rupali, there is this need of environment designer for this tour, for this feature. And would you like to take this up? I said, yeah, let me show my work first, you know. And that time, concept artist and this was all, they were all evolving names. You know? There were all terms which are defined today.
Right.
So environment design, yeah, I do environment design. So I just I call up the studio and say, before getting into a deeper conversation of the film and all, yeah, I would prefer to you know, show some of my work to
To
sir.
see if you're a good fit with the project, or
Yeah, of course.
Right.
If only if I'm a good fit, you know, I want to, because not everything is on my web page.
Right,
So
right.
it's better, you know, I show some of my work to you, and then you choose if I'm better fit to it.
Right.
And but the beauty of it is the the production house calls me and tells me, doesn't matter, you know, you can fly down to Hyderabad to show your work.
Right.
I said, fly down? I said, are you sure? Because it's just work. If I'm not committed to spend so much on the flight ticket and, you know, to showcase work and all. What if I don't make up to it and it's a waste of money? Don't waste your money on flight, is what I meant. Don't waste money on your flight tickets for me, because I just want to showcase my portfolio. Only if it would be worth, only if, you know, I'm fit to it. So he said, that you don't worry, Rupali, you come. And they booked ticket for me, and the day before I fly, I get a call from the production designer. The production coordinator.
Right.
Okay, ma'am, what will you have for breakfast? I said, what? So this is VIP treatment, boss. I was so, what should I tell? It was like, I've never experienced this feeling, you know, to be treated.
Right.
So what will you have for breakfast? I said, oh, whatever is available in your canteen or whatever is available, you know. Like, no, you tell me your preferences, madam.
Oh.
I was like, nothing, whatever is in your canteen is I will be more than happy to have it, because I had a very early morning flight to Hyderabad. And he tells me, you know, this is the guy this is the vehicle, will pick you up and they'll get you to the hotel first and then to the studio. And I said, I call up Gitanjali and said, Gitanjali, this is happening to me. I'm just going to show them the portfolio and the jury treatment, enjoy jury treatment. And this is very, you know, which is very rare in today's world, you know.
Right.
So, and so much of respect to have for concept artists. I mean, I'm really thankful for that experience and giving me that, you know, elevation of in every way. So the day I reached there, and yeah, it's an experience. So when I reached there, I showed my portfolio to the creative head of the studio. Then they take me to Rajamouli sir. I showcase him the portfolio. Then after that, yeah, and he said, what he narrated me the script. We had a lunch break. He narrated me the script, and after, and I said, before I was talking to the producer, I mean, the producer of the show, saying that, you know, he is going to narrate me the script, but we didn't finalize on our commercials as yet. You know, unless if I don't know if I'll be able to fit in for the commercials, let's discuss that. And then, you know, it's worth spending his time in narrating me. What if, you know, the commercials doesn't work? I don't want to waste his time.
Right.
He said, don't worry, we will work that out. Don't, you know, don't get so anxious. We will work that out. For them, now when I look back and say, the producers are, things can be worked out if, if you have right people in right place.
Right.
They go out of their way.
Yeah.
They bend their corners. They make things workable if things are working for them.
Right.
If they find right people for their right position, they will make things change. So I'm just, I just landed up there with with, I mean, it just came to me, and the Rajamouli sir gave me an audition, and yeah, I have a film. And 2015, I was not ready for the making of video, and there were many couple of videos coming in as fillers as they progress, as they were progressing in making their film up. But in 2015, there was one trailer of making of Bahubali, and it starts off with my sketch. And I don't know, I didn't know what to say. And then comes the trailer launch, and it was massive, and massive that time. And 2015 it released, and Bahubali making of having my sketches in there, having my footage, however, for a fraction of a second. But I was there as in like fraction of a second, but my work was there in making all of that. It opened with my sketch, and it was incredible to experience that. And then when it released, and when the making hit millions of views, and then walking in the studio was I was really, I didn't know what to do then. When every second person, when you walk to the studio, they look up to you, and and it's a complete different image what you have till you're working in the studio. And they are everybody coming to me and telling me, we are immensely proud of you, Rupali. And I just did work. I mean, it is, it was the film's destiny, however, but I feel really honored to be a part of that film, which and that film gave me an identity. I really thank you. Thanks to I really thank Rajamouli sir for giving me that opportunity, believing in me, trusting me one-handedly. The only brief what I had is he narrated me the script, and he said, "This is all yours."
Wow.
And that is it.
That goes to show how much, as a director, he shows a level of trust that he has in the people that he wants to work with.
Immense trust between, I mean, just to hand over the script and narration, and he said, "This is all yours." I said, I kept on saying, that they give me some vision to what you look up to, what are you some image of your film, or some reference, or something, what do you have in your mind, anything randomly what you have in your mind which could broadly or vaguely describe the look and feel of your film. He just he said, "Open your portfolio page." And I said, he got me to that page 1, which I showed him. "This is my reference." I said, in my mind, I was in my head, I was saying, "Don't kid, please, no, this is not a time to go joke around. Are you kidding?" And like, I said, "No, sir, please be seated." I mean, really, I was shut down. I mean, I was not saying anything. He just looked at me and said, "Yeah, I'm serious. This is it. And my brief is larger than life. And it's all yours."
Right.
And that's it. That's it. It is the conversation between him and me. And that is rest is the history of Bahubali. But yeah, I mean, all that 3 months or later when I was working for sequel, and recently when I did a little bit of his work, the complete trust what he has for the artists or the supervisors, or the trust he has in his artists, I mean, as an actors or his technicians, this all makes him as a a strong unit, as filmmaking is. So as I always say, film is a teamwork. It's never one person work. It is led by a director, led by a lion, but you need to have that herd with you.
Right. Right.
The director is to the lion, I mean the lead is to show you the path, but every single person, facet of it is equally important and takes the equal share of the ultimate product what you have, or what we see on the screen. So yeah, this is which I see that I saw that strong bond between every single person working under that one roof, for the pre-production to the production to the post, right? And and as you grow with every film, you meet new people, meet new legends, you meet, so I came in, I came to know about Srinivas Mohan, who's a very respected
legendary VFX art director at this point.
Yeah. So he was working on Bahubali
Right.
at that time. Then recently I came in touch with Sandeep Kamal, who's equally a very known and respectable VFX director, and they both are a member of Academy,
Right.
representing VFX of India. And when you have these people around you, when these respected directors around you to help out with where I got a chance through Prana. I was working for Prana Studios just before COVID for 5.5 years, where that studio gave me an opportunity to come in the forefront and handle the pitches independently, done for that was the first we tried this for the first time, doing pitches for the pitch art was what we did for as a practice for a new film, what we used to get in or do it. But later, as I told you, it's like knowing the color script. What we practice is already been done before. So pitch art, to state it as a pitch art, we were doing it, we were practicing it, but that is a part of a process of filmmaking which is done in Hollywood, is what known recently.
Right.
So what helps to do a good to lay down as a process, what is the best way to get this done is later becomes a process. And what in our case, in my case, which I came to know that, oh, this is a process which Hollywood does.
Right.
Or good films are done this way. So okay, then it becomes like oh, then we are on the same path. Okay, then we are somebody has stamped on you. He's like, oh, this is correct. It's just a confirmation of things. Okay, no, these are the things we've been practicing. Oh, this is what we do. This is what we do, and then suddenly we come to know, oh, this is a process, practice process, a decision made. I mean, a process which is defined as a pipeline in some definite way of working. And you are happy about it, to be, oh, then we decided, then our decisions were correct. The process, what we did is correct. And somebody on the other part of the world is practicing the same way. And you're it just gives you a soulful happiness. That's nothing a satisfaction. Where for other person, for the for other people, it is, oh, you have done a pitch art, which is a regular thing to do. But for us, it is a self-discovering thing,
Right.
So, but yes, through Prana, I really thank even that team, to help me come in the front row and putting that confidence in me that you can pitch and lead the team, giving me that opportunity to giving the first-hand decisions on many projects.
So by this point, you are a production designer on that project, is it?
Yes.
Right.
So I have started.
And this is Manto, which is the film that you're talking about.
Which is a film about, and I did pitches under the title of production designer VFX.
Okay.
And then I started pitching art, and now I am, as I told you, Prana has given me a lot of opportunities to, work on different scripts and different mediums of write films and on different platforms, of course. So these are one or two prominent ones. But
could you also kind of define, because I think the name production designer doesn't adequately define what the role stands for? Because we also hear the term art director, but
Yeah.
if there's a difference, like how would you explain what a production designer does?
Production design. Okay, this is now it has a lot of what do you say, dimensions to look at the same role. So in animation, I come from in animation, like a 2D, or if you come from an animation background, a production designer is the final authority of making decisions of design.
Right.
Okay. I mean, if you put it up in a hierarchy, he is immediately after the director who makes the design decisions, you know.
I see.
And parallelly, I mean, before that is a visual development process before getting into a production design pipeline. So the production designer is also a part of visual development.
Right.
So there is a visual development team right after the script comes. There is a team which works on characters, environments, props, costume, jewelry, weapons. I mean, whatever the film content needs, it's been broken down. And once you have a content of visual development, then it of course it becomes important to finalize and stylize a design. So that becomes there comes a production designer who takes up the responsibility of developing a style for the film.
Right.
And who is responsible for the production of the film, like not only the look and feel, but is also responsible for the timeline.
Right.
Design a style of the film which will complete in a particular deadline.
Right.
Wow. So a designer which will work for production.
Those are big shoes to fill. That's a big role. Also because recently also, as of course I've not spent that much time working in the industry as you have, but like for live action, somewhere it feels like the production design role at its core becomes a very like if it's environment production design, an architect is someone who kind of takes upon that role for production design, because I think there's a communication process that happens like you also have to mediate like the information that has been built by the artists, and then you take it to the artisans who will be working on the sets. So the measurements, the proportions, like a lot of the technical aspects of building these things, that also comes in as one of the hats that you have to wear as a production designer as well.
Yeah. So I was just trying to differentiate is, what a production design, what an animation background comes up for is a design done for production. So it comes with all these brackets. I mean, brackets meaning limitations.
Right, of course.
When I mean brackets, it becomes limitations. So you have to come up with a design which will suit the production. That means I have to design which will be completed in these many days. Like if I have 1,000 backgrounds or 2,000, more than 1,700 backgrounds to complete, how much time will it take? And I have to create a design which will be done in those many days of production. So to choosing a correct style and coming to a 2D thing, it's a humongous thing where you have to train. One person can't do 1,000 backgrounds,
right?
Or 2,000 backgrounds. So you need a team, and to train that a bunch of 10 people working similarly,
right,
and adapting the same style of painting or designing. It's not easy to, so that the film looks one and not.
It feels very coherent from the beginning to the end.
So that one background doesn't look different from another.
Right. It's a lot of integrating multiple small bits together to feel like one cohesive language.
So the treatment the backgrounds for 2D, the challenge is, however there are 10 or 50, whoever team works, it should look one.
Of course.
And it should not it could be character, it could be background, it could be anything. At the same point of time, it should look one. And even if there are 100 animators, Simba doesn't look different from one scene to another, right? For example. And so it's the same thing with backgrounds. You have to have a breakdown of rules to that.
Yes.
So there are rules of character. I mean, there is a character sheet, workbook, and there is, of course, a background. But in background, there is an application difference for every different artist who's working on it, right?
Right.
So to train them to get an application where you have to train them, where you have to say it, whose application is very similar and comes down as one and seen as one. And at the same time, you have to marry the backgrounds with the character, or else the character will start looking different from the background space.
Right.
So have that characteristics in the background as well. So if how simplified is the story, and of course there are aspects. So to create a design which suits the production is a production design.
Got it. Your first time someone has actually defined the role so clearly for me, because as you said, like it has so many aspects to this one role. So now putting it in like a production mindset where like things are being done so that it can target can be hit by this point.
So
right?
And he is a responsible person, who designs it that way. I mean, that means if I have a team of 10, or if I have a content which has to be produced in next 3 years or 4 years, and how much team I need to be put on it, and how much training has to go in, how much time that training will need, and after that training I will have these artists, and that will take away this much time of production and the pre-production. All this has to be timelined, and in which is the correct style which will fit this in.
Right.
Is a production designer responsible for.
Right. And like also
Then,
interesting. Yeah. Go ahead.
Coming back to the difference between live and the animation is, so this is the production designer's role in animation, which is very, very crucial, and which goes hand in hand. So our director, of course, he doesn't work independently. He has a team of art. He has a team, he has an art director. He has background team leads and everything. But he is finally responsible for the execution of it. Then as the medium evolved, in 3D, then when this was with 2D, but in 3D, of course, in 3D, even if every single drawing, every single space or every scene, it was not drawn, but it was built. It was designed in such a way that it's a 3D space, and if you stylize a certain thing in a stylized environment design in a particular way, it becomes you can in 2D it's a flexible thing. You can adopt and you can change certain things because it's 2D.
Right.
But in 3D, you have to come up with a style which looks aesthetically and workably correct. I mean, it's workable in all the views, in terms of action, in terms of you can't cheat things.
Right. Even if you have like an action sequence, you have to really plan out, okay, if the camera is being placed over here, what will be the storytelling through that action, from which part of this room will the action lead to the next room, and then you have to show an entire structure for that, so that because while you're shooting the thing during production, there's not much of a confusion going on within the team.
Correct. Right? So in 2D, there are advantages and disadvantages. We have to keep on repeatedly doing the same thing. But in 3D, we don't have to repeatedly draw the same elements or whatever. But there are advantages and disadvantages, I said, of both the mediums.
Both mediums.
So it's a very laborious job. The 2D is. It's very, very, but whereas in 3D, it's a very technically, you need to have that much time. At that point of time, it was rendering and everything. But yes, coming back to production design, yes, production designer roles for 3D is the same. He is responsible for the entire look dev and exploration done to come up with a style which will suit the 3D as a medium.
I see. Okay.
Okay, doing the color palettes, doing the color scripts, defining the look and feel, the role of, I mean, he is an ultimate responsible person immediately after the director. Okay, who
That's
breaks
very
down the
interesting.
entire production process down, including the designing thing. Then now coming to live action, and the current VFX role is production designer in live action is responsible to design as well as construct on the set.
Right.
Okay, so initially the production designer has a team of art director. I mean, in a live action hierarchy, they have a team of art director and the designers along with them. Not necessarily they have to be what do you say, engineers or architects or whatever, but it is always a plus because they have to construct.
Right.
If the production designer itself is an architect, he knows the limitations of construction.
Okay. Because then that will involve the conversation about, like, if you see certain things in the image, then you'll be like, okay, this thing might not work out because the structure will be difficult to build, and then this might take a longer period of time.
Correct.
So
and you have some solutions of construction or architecture, which you know, with academics you have learned it, but not necessarily. But an art student coming an art student being a production designer gives different advantages.
Right.
So it's a team. You know, you have art director as an architect as an art director, a production designer from a BFA or an MFA graduate. You have designers who are BFA or interns from art colleges. So it's a perfect team which builds in together, you know.
Right.
So there are textile designers who have come and do a upholstery. And you know, it's a photographer who has come up into, you know, taken up production design, or you know, it's a role which everything plays together. I mean, that production designer team has all these facets. They design themselves. They have a team. They design the concept. They design the set, and also they are responsible to construct it.
I see. Okay.
Now the art director in VFX studio, and now with the change of medium and the way live action is being shot and everything, now production designer need to understand the limitations and advantages of VFX also.
Okay.
So he needs to understand how it will be shot, how much I should construct, or you know, the way the VFX works initially. And now the same position of art director in a VFX studio. We spoke about animation, we spoke about live action, and the VFX studio now. The VFX studio, the highest authority of decision making in any creative things is an art director.
Right. Okay.
So in any VFX studio, if you see any of these studios of DNEG or MTC or you know, VETA or all these production houses, I mean all these VFX studios. So the final creative authority goes to the art director.
Yes.
Okay. So it is you know, he is responsible for the decision making.
Right.
So now the animation production designer, he plays the entire role of the DOP, the production design, because whatever is being done in 2D production design or 3D production design, he's responsible, right?
Right.
So he is not only designing and putting a plan for the production, but he is also playing a role of DOP because he's responsible for the look dev.
Of course. Yep.
Whereas in live action, the role is divided. The production designer is responsible for the set design, concept of a set design, and the DOP plays a lighting role.
Got it.
But it goes hand in hand. Again, that you know, the production designer thinks about lighting.
Yeah.
Because
they're not isolated departments. They will have to come together.
At some point, but they work separately.
Right.
There is a DOP, there is a director of photography. In live action, there is a production designer who works separately, but in animation production design, these two roles are combined together and worked as a production designer for animation.
Okay.
So it could be VFX animation, it could be 2D or a CGI.
Okay.
Now, in VFX studios, the art director is given the higher-most authority of the studio, who's the decision maker for every single frame what goes out from that studio.
Right.
Okay, right from the look there, everything. And the budget and the management is being equally done by him because
Right.
he's responsible for the delivery.
Right. Right.
Correct? Now, this all goes in hand. Now, if you see the production, now if you see what kind of title one should have when somebody is designing for it, this is a very new space where I'm trying to put myself in. So, as I said, the production designer's role. So, am I doing only a production designer's role? If you talk about live action, no. Then, am I playing a DOP's role? I mean, I am playing a production designer role, yes, prominently in animation now. Who's
Right.
responsible for the look dev, the production, the look and feel, everything. But in live action, I'm responsible for VFX and the look dev.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So see, it is a space which has been carved and it will take its own shape. But it is very difficult to say right now what role do I fit in. I'm filling the pockets of everything.
Right. Based
Say,
on the requirement and what the director needs,
correct.
you
So
have to.
as I initially started with, I play a role of a bridge right now.
Right. That's a good term to use. Yeah.
I am trying to be a bridge between all these departments and all these roles.
Right.
So I'm a bridge between. I'm creating a content which will be a common, which will be on a common page for the director,
Right.
for the DOP, for the production designer, and the VFX supervisor.
Okay.
So I don't know what the name is, but eventually it will come up as a visualizer because that person is responsible and creates visuals which will connect all these 5 main ingredients of the filmmaking process.
Right. Right.
So visualizer is the title which I'm looking forward to. And hopefully, yeah, and yes. So this is a bridge. What I'm trying to do to connect all this. So yes, and it is nothing but again, pencil, and this is all the visuals and ideation drawings which are helping me build this bridge between all these departments.
Wow, I mean, like, this has been like, I'm so thankful to you that you actually answer this in so much clarity, because that says a lot about, like, not just in terms of your role as a production designer, but also the kind of director who can, put that trust in you and like kind of pay how do I put this, like putting the trust in you to bring solutions to him or her when it comes to because I feel most of the films like, unless the director's been brought into this, if it's the director's own film, it's like their own child, right? You want to make sure that it gets the best treatment. So you kind of play that, that caretaker's role at that point, like, okay, these are the solutions that I can provide to you in order to raise the kid in the best way possible. So I would finally bring to just the final bit of it, because I think we took up a lot of your time as well.
That's okay. You edit it.
Yeah, I'll no, I don't want to edit it. I will edit out some parts of it, but then again, like, I want this conversation to, because you've shared so many things where it's so important. I think that's something that only someone with experience can speak about. This is something that, like, it's very rare to be to be educated towards. You have to be in the field for a significant period of time to understand the weightage of the roles that you play at this point.
I'm so grateful, and I'm really, really thankful, Ayan, to for you to start off with this kind of a platform and to to think about it, and eventually I really give all my wishes to you, and I really hope it reaches more people and students, and it really makes a difference if even if it could be. And yeah, I mean, it's really grateful that I really want to mention Hans Bacher again, and I really thank him for taking my baby steps through the grammar of this design,
Right.
of film design. And I learned, I can literally say, I knew the language or the script, but to make me understand the grammar of it, to make me understand the literature part of filmmaking is, I really owe him a big share of my inspiration.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Also, like, speaking of this aspect where you have been mentored and now you also teach other people, I want to have this question with you.
Yeah.
What, according to you, two questions.
Yeah.
What, according to you, is a good teacher, and who, according to you, is a good student?
Oh my God. I would only end up in one line that, if you are a good student, only then you can be a good teacher, is what my father told me always.
Lovely.
So I think that makes it all. If you stop being a student, you'll stop being a teacher too.
Wow, that's
So
simply
the more
beautiful.
student you are, and the more student you are, the more beautiful teacher you will be, because you always see the other side of the being a student. So when you are teaching, you know what the student is. And when you are a student, you know the other side of being a teacher. So you respect teachers equally.
Wow, wow.
So the modesty comes from both the ends. You have to be. So my father has told me this. You be a good student to be a good teacher.
Right. Right.
You first have to be a good student. And of course, nothing less. I mean, he himself was a teacher, so coming from him was not a surprise. Coming this from him was not a surprise, that the amazing teacher he was.
Right.
So,
I mean, it's so beautiful. I want to share some of my final thoughts with you when it comes to knowing you and getting the wonderful option to work with you the last year. The things that you said about role of a student and role of a teacher, even if you did not say it, your personality resonates that, because you during one of the projects that we worked on recently, you sat with me and my friend Karthik. Both of us worked with you, and every time we had a call with you, after the call ended, we just had like a 10-minute moment of what the hell just went on. There was so much incredible information that we just got that is so rare to see. You can't get these things in books, you can't get these things through tutorial videos and stuff like that. So it became such a profound, such a emotional journey for us, that it felt like we have done the right things, which led us to the point where we could sit with someone of your capability, of your mindset, to sit with us, explain to us how to even research on a certain topic, how to understand what aesthetic is, how storytelling has a big part of it. I also want to give a huge shout out to PC Vikram on this front, because when he told me that you were being brought onto this project, I was on another project at that point. I immediately was like, okay, I'm going to find a way to work with you. And
thank you so much.
we had a discussion about manifesting yesterday, like opportunities for you, how your internal appreciation for Hans Bacher brought you to meet with him. For me, Rupali, you
Thank you
played that
so
role as
much.
well.
Oh my God.
So
it was quite a journey. So yeah, मतलब, as you say in Hindi, गिरते संभलते 25 साल. I really hope to work as my Ramon sir did. Ramon, and when I met Ramon sir in his last days, it was very sad to see him in that. Of course, it's your God. It's literally a father figure like him who's sitting, going through so much. It's very difficult. But he passed away when he was 92.
Right.
And we went a year before that to meet him, and he was not in a good state. But I mean, physically he was little struggling. But he had an iPad with him,
Right.
iPad Pro. And he was, it was just a medium change for him. We have seen him all the life drawing, and he has not given up. I mean, at the age of 91, this man is sitting with an iPad and doing stories. And what are
I'm
we
getting
getting about?
goosebumps as you're telling me this. Like, it's
And
so.
we were complaining about, industry and quest. I mean, there's no work, no money, this, that. What are we complaining about? Look at him, and he's standing like one. What do you say? He's been there, done that, and like there is nothing, not what it's very different. I don't know. It's very difficult to put in words, but I see he wearing a white kurta pajama and he's sitting and working on an iPad with his pen and drawing and some scribbling some story
It's like seeing
sketches,
God at his or
story
her
sketches,
work mode.
story sketches and all, and we have a dialogue and everything. And later, after a year, see, these are very much, as I said, or I had said you earlier, these are Oscar moments for me. I've lived in parts and pieces, and they have literally showered me and kept these Oscar moments have kept me going on and gave me that hope of, yes, you can hold this fort again. I mean, don't give up on lot many terms. So yeah, we're having and then after a year, when I saw Ram Mohan in hospital, when we went and saw him for the last time, um, uh, there is old his what to say, a senior person in the studio called Ajit Rao. He's a very known, he's an architect and a very known person in animation industry again. So he was there with him, and he got a sketchbook for him.
Okay.
And Amon sir was not able to, not in a position to talk, but he could listen, and he could react a bit to us. And to have a sketchbook and a pen in his hand, we could see the immense satisfaction on his face, and we only, and at that moment, that person remembers your name.
Right.
Is what more do you want from life, and I'm really thankful for all these precious moments in my life where all these people whom I've worked with, after however in a long span we don't get in touch with each other, or we don't have a dialogue or whatever, but these people, whenever we come in touch, or we exchange work or whatever, they know me by my name.
Right.
That is all what we want. What else do you need?
Wow. Thank you
So
so much. Thank you so much for your
thanks.
time, Rupali. I mean,
Yeah.
this was such an emotional conversation as well for me. Like, even yesterday, after we had a chat, just discussing as to what we'll discuss today, for a moment, I had to sit and just think and just, absorb all the experience that you shared with me. And I'm so fortunate to have you as a part of my life as well. And I know that we will also keep in touch.
Yeah, of
And
course. We'll
I
make
do
many
see.
more interviews, and
Absolutely. I
maybe.
do look forward to working with you again. It was one of the
Yes, of
most
course.
like interesting experiences that I've had in the past few months. So thank you
So
so much.
I take this opportunity, Ayan, as for giving me this opportunity to come down to your channel and share what I could, maximum I could. But I really want to take this thing ahead and want to tell that there is an immense need of film school and faculty, and what I feel is there is a need to come out of self-taught process. Of course, see, self-learning process is for lifetime. That is but if you are led to a correct channel through a correct person, it takes a lot many. Your what to say, the wandering around is lessened down.
Right.
Figuring it out, you will lose a lot of time in figuring it out, trying it out, exploring it out, and then we lose a lot of time and time
Right.
only. Money, say, it is
The
more of
presence of a mentor really
yes,
guides the
or
path for you.
yes,
You don't have
mentor,
to.
or a consultant, or you finding yourself first and getting. So this self-taught process should be shortened at some point of time
Right.
when you're choosing academics.
Yeah. I think
So
the apprenticeship stage of your life teaches you a lot about the, the quality, like the skills that you will take forward with you, and the disciplines as well. And that's what, like,
yeah,
that's where again the role of the teacher becomes so supreme in your life,
of course.
right?
So yeah, I mean, also I'll close it on a note where, yes, we have mentors, we have all so many people to inspire you around, and there are a lot of things happening. But as you said, no, it is keep them on a pedestal of teacher.
Right, right.
The minute you, I'm not saying that don't make them gods. You don't be a bhakt.
Very interesting.
The minute you become a bhakt of somebody, you start accepting anything what that person does for you.
Right.
Be a student. Be that relationship of a teacher and the student. Be there. The minute you change, keep your feet in that shoe, you start accepting whatever it is, and you start ignoring anything. You ignore a lot of things when you keep yourself in that shoe.
Right, right.
Which shouldn't be there. You should be extremely alert. You should be extremely sound of. You should know what your place is. You're in a place of learning and not accepting things.
Because I think at the end, our own unique voices should not be, burdened down based on other people's journeys as well. Like you soak experiences from them, but it should only aid you in telling your story better.
Yes.
Right.
So these are all there. I mean, of course, my only thing is, yes, God is a very special place where you surrender.
Right.
I mean, God, because everybody say, I mean, people who are believers in it, they say, and have
in
people
the
who
idea of
believe
a
in
higher
idol
power.
worship.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you surrender there.
Right.
So teacher is a place where you have to learn, and you have an unsaid authority to question a lot of things. Why all their W's, and you get an answer from the teacher is how to do it, or how is what you get an answer from him. What all the W's is being asked to the teacher is H is what he gives us. So you have to believe in that relationship instead of, you get an authority of questioning your teacher also. And I'm fortunate that all these inspirations and mentors in who came, I mean, whom I learned from, is they have definitely kept that discipline in front of me. Those role models. It is extremely difficult. It is not easy. So it is difficult as to be a teacher as to be a student also. It's the same way. So vice versa. It is to be a good student, you have to be a good teacher, is what I've said. Is then it is extremely difficult to be a good student, and hence it's difficult to be a good teacher as well.
Right. You're absolutely right on that.
You are responsible for so many things when you are a teacher, and equally responsible as a student when you're questioning your teacher.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I mean, Rupali, like this was so lovely. I mean, I could go. I realized that with you, I can go into a lot of tangents and have multiple discussions, and then it will become like a right.
And I'm thankful, really, Ayan, for getting me on this channel.
I will definitely have you again in the future, because I feel like you're like a treasure mine of information, and like the transparency with which you discuss things. It's very rare. It's like every artist, every person has their own way of communicating things. You are someone who really celebrates the open book nature of an
Thank you
artist.
so much.
So I will be somewhere exploiting that in the future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, take care. Bye.